Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rogue Wave podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture with the rogues who create it every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on youtube.com/Rogue Matter, facebook.com/We Are Rogue Matter, twitch.tv/We Are Rogue Matter, and twitter.com/Rogue_Matter. We take this finely produced video and compress it and compile it, and you do, add a little sugar, a little spice, a little magic to it, and it becomes this amazing audio podcast that can be heard across all major podcasting apps. I'm your host, Michael Dolce, as always, joined by my co-host extraordinaire, Mr. Lord of the Radio himself, Hassan Godwin. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's great.
Did you, by any chance, waste your evening last night engaging in a Twitter argument?
I did not. I managed to avoid it, but though that is typically how I spend my evenings. So you have a little taste of how my evenings go.
Well, that's what I felt the entire time. I felt like I was channeling you the entire time, and I was like, this is how the other half lives. That's essentially what I kind of got out of it.
What exactly happened?
Well,
what did you do? What did you do?
Full disclosure, I have a deadline today. I have to make some corrections to a script because I told the higher ups that I would have this script ready. And I am, in addition to a podcast extraordinaire, I'm also a writer and been making comics, graphic novels for 20 years. And it's actually officially 20 years now. It's kind of scary. I had a full on deadline. I went onto Twitter. I saw Spider-Man was trending. Sometimes when things are trending, I'm like, oh, well, we have the show coming up. What news is out there for Spider-Man? It's like 20,000 tweets. All right, that's more than, the usual, whatever. And I click on it. And apparently there was a whole thread going on about married Spider-Man versus unmarried Spider-Man and how married Spider-Man is what the fans want. And unmarried Spider-Man is not what the fans want. And that there are gatekeepers, it's a conspiracy. It goes all the way to the top of Marvel, who are conspiring against the fans to not give them what they want on purpose, and only because they're a bunch of old white dudes in their 50s and 60s that run Marvel, and they'll stop at nothing to make sure that the fans don't get what they want, which is a married Spider-Man, and that it is preposterous that it is an FU to the fans, like literally an FU to the fans, to think that a younger audience can't get into a married protagonist, which was always the rationalization for demarrying him in the first place.
What is the purpose of his? Well, what does the matter that his marriage is actually improves the nature of the character or the nature of the book? What was their examples?
So this is again. Long story short, by the way, I didn't get my script done last night.
Apparently not, because you were busy fighting the good fight.
I couldn't help but not keep replying. See, that's the problem.
Welcome to
I eventually muted the conversation this morning because I was like, I'm done. Like I literally have to get work done. I even at one point was like, this has been fun, guys. I gotta go. No. I got actual.
It never works unless you actually leave. That never works unless you actually leave.
I learned that. No, but apparently anything that I said to dispute the claim. Well, first of all, I told him, I was like, I worked at Wizard. So I was actually in the industry when, Spider-Man, one brand new day actually happened. And I'm like, look, the phrase that got me involved in the first place was something to the lines of, they are basically gatekeeping and basically keeping the fans, they're telling the fans that they are stupid for enjoying the product. And I said, that wasn't really it at all. They wanted to increase sales. A lot of creators didn't like the fact at that time that Spider-Man was married. It felt it was limiting. And that's what opened the floodgates. And apparently, there is fact that married Spider-Man outsold unmarried Spider-Man, and that any attempts to disprove that claim doesn't count. in any way, shape, or form.
But I mean, why did they think that married Spider-Man was better than unmarried Spider-Man? Did they give you an explanation as to why that's just a better storyline, or it's just the books were better?
It was the Spider-Man they grew up with. That's why.
Okay, all right, but why was that?
No,
Why is
that
that
was their
better than what we
justification.
have now?
Yeah, they think it's useless melodrama, and Spider-Man hooking up Black Cat is not a good storyline. That the book was always better when MJ was involved and not being chased away, and sales proved that that was the case. Now, mind you, I said to them, I said, sales really plummeted in like the 90s, and they said, well, that was just the industry. But I'm like, yeah, but the sales were really high when he was married because that was also the height of the industry. Well, that doesn't matter, No, that's because, and I'm like, all right, so got it.
Yeah, I mean, by then you realize you were arguing in bad faith. Over there,
I think
you were
I
arguing
sent
with
you some
people who.
screenshots from it, and it was one of those like, that Marvel owes us to give us, what we want.
Isn't that? I mean, like that. Any conversation that has that features that rationale in it or that logic in it is a red flag. The fans, they don't want to give the fans what they want. I asked one kid once a long time ago for something that completely differently related to this, and I said, they really can't give the fans what they want. That's kind of a statistical impossibility. And he goes, no, that's BS. Of course they can. I'm like, well, say I want Spider-Man to be married, and you don't. Which one are they going to listen to? Well, they listen to whoever's
the majority.
Yeah, they listen to whoever the majority is. It's like, well, how do you know which one is the majority? How do you know that they're not listening to the fans right now? And
no,
it's
clearly not.
Yeah,
clearly not. They know because the book sales were the highest in the late in the 80s and the early 90s.
That's when you're getting into a situation like that, but they're not giving you statistics, but they're saying these things. I know for a fact that this happened.
Sales figures. They said sales figures, but I said, well, what about the JMS run? The J. Michael Straczynski run? And they're like, well, that was just, that doesn't count.
But did they give you statistics? Did they show you the stats?
Well, he gave me links to his blog, and I'm like, I'm not devoting even more time into this.
Show me the stats, or this conversation's over.
Oh, they said prior to Brand New Day, Spider-Man was selling 90,000 copies, and it quickly plummeted to 50,000. Then I said, I believe the Dan Slott run was pretty successful. And they go, that was just because of multiple cover releases and launches. And I said, well, but I'm telling you that
you have a caveat for that. If you have an outliers argument for that, if you have a straw man for that, then this argument can't go anywhere because you're not accepting the information. You're not accepting the data. You're skewing the data to match your narrative, and that's.
I did get them to admit Maximum Carnage was a terrible story.
Yeah, well, of course.
That was my one victory.
And to be honest, the reason a lot of that stuff plummeted was because the stories were not good. It had nothing to do with the marriage. There was a lot of bad stories.
Right.
And I remember.
Look at all the great stories we got in the marriage, but name anything post, Brand New Day, One More Day, where the stories were great. And I'm like, I actually like the Superior Spider-Man. I thought, and that sold really well, the Superior Spider-Man arc. I enjoyed it. And he's like, you liked when he made Otto Octavius a rapist? And I'm like, whoa, man, I'm not going here, dude. I'm like, yeah, I did enjoy that one. I did enjoy that run.
Maybe not because of that, but it was a good run,
And that's a very weird way of putting it, but
yeah, because those people are just interested in winning. They're just interested in backing you down so that they can feel like they've won, but they don't. Right. It's nonsense.
The best thing is he's just like, so you admit. So you what is it? You admit. I was very careful.
Remember what you told me when we were hanging out? We went to see Smashing Pumpkins, and you said, yes. You have a way of arguing without giving your opinion.
Yes,
that's why. The internet is why. Because
I agree.
Because people come at you.
I was channeling you the entire time.
Yeah. So you trying to say, I'm like, I'm not trying to say anything. I'm just saying that what you're saying is nonsense. I haven't given you my opinion whatsoever, because then you lose the argument at that point.
Right. He's like, you haven't shown any proof. And I'm like, I told you this, and this. And then I said, and by the way, I lived it because we were at Wizard at the time. We were in the editorial discussions. We were all talking. I mean, we were going to conventions. I was interviewing editors.
You whipped out your bona fides at them. Yeah, that's gutsy. That's very gutsy. Well, did they believe you, or did they were like, I don't believe you worked at Wizard?
But I'm sitting there saying, like, I'm like, no, like I actually lived through it. Like I was in the industry when all this stuff happened, and I remember conversations like with editorial and being like, yeah, we Marvel doesn't want, Marvel is having trouble. I mean, they said at the time, like some of the editors were like, yeah, some of the creators they don't want to work on Spider-Man when he's married because they don't want him to be married, but they don't want to be the ones to unmarry him. It was one of those like 50-50, like they were damned if they did, damned if they didn't. That's another reason why, Brand New Day was controversial, because no matter what you did, you'd have, if you got Spider-Man divorced, you'd have divorced Spider-Man. If you killed off Mary Jane, you had widow Spider-Man, or widower Spider-Man. You would then, if you
kill off Mary Jane, it's like she's just Gwen Stacy 2.0. It's just like it's not even
you have, if Mary Jane cheats on Spider-Man, then you have cheater Mary Jane, or you have cheater Peter.
And that just lasts forever.
Right. So, I mean, it was one of those things, like creators were definitely, the marriage created issues for him. And this is not stuff that was publicized. It was just, but it was talked about in the Wizard offices, talking to people in the Marvel offices. And that's what, the general sentiment around that time was. But meanwhile, he's like, Tom DeFalco liked when he was married. J.M. DeMatteis liked that he was married. David Michelini liked that he's married. Are you denying that they liked it? And I'm like, first of all, I said, what they think is irrelevant.
No, what's your proof that they liked it?
I guess apparently they have interviews somewhere that says,
show me the proof that they liked it. Otherwise,
I'm sure. Again, I'd have to read his finely crafted blog in order to get it.
No,
but even if they did like it, it's irrelevant, because
TRDR.
First of all, those were the argument that they were making about the young guard, that the old guard won't accept the young guards. That's exactly what was happening then. So if you just named 3 of the most, veteran Spider-Man writers at the time who disagreed with the young guard saying they wanted unmarried Spider-Man, but
that's a prevailing argument for all fandom now. It's like, you're not listening to the fans, you're not giving the fans what they want. It's like, yeah, but when you get what you want, you don't really want what you got. You don't like the way you got it. The minute you start chasing the fans is the minute you start chasing your tail. You know? Like, look, it's a fan's prerogative not to buy something that they don't want. But it's also my prerogative to create to my best interest, to tell the best story I can tell. If you don't like it, you won't buy it, and I won't be on the book very long. And that's the way the transactional, system works. But if you do buy it and I am on the book for 10 years, then, F off, because I'm obviously doing something right. So,
I got to also say the funny part is I kept reiterating, I'm like, I actually personally didn't have a problem with married Spider-Man. That is the Spider-Man I grew up with. I understand the idea that a married character could come across as older and not appealing to a younger generation. Maybe not today. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe they made the wrong decision.
The purpose of getting them divorced, or the purpose of separating them, because they didn't get a divorce, but the purpose of separating them so they could save Aunt May was the dumbest storyline I've ever
it was not good.
It was nonsense.
I agree.
So, because I remember thinking about that right away. It's like, wait a minute, you're going to give up your wife so that your elderly aunt can live another day, but you're theoretically a science fiction story, right? Because
correct.
That's radioactive spider, serums or whatever. That's sci-fi. But you can't find another way to keep an old lady alive other than making a deal with the devil.
Correct.
So that you can stop it. So, but that had nothing to do with whether or not he should be married or whether or not he was better or worse being married.
Correct.
It's just he
was better married because they liked it.
You could have used an entire story to get him separated, other than he makes a deal with Mephisto. Come on, that's crazy.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay, never mind.
Suffice to say, I wasted my entire evening.
Yes, you did. I'm sorry to say I can't.
And about 5 to 10 minutes of this morning, and I wasted the first 15 minutes of the show. We are Rogue Wave. We got a lot to talk about today. We got James Gunn
with
news.
Him this morning. You were still going.
I said one more thing, then I just muted it, and I said, "You got me." There's a grand conspiracy that starts at the top to piss off
you
fans.
were that jerk. You were the jerk that makes the last comment and then blocks the person so that they can't.
They can message me on a separate chain. I'm done. Like, I'm done on the chain. Like, I'm done. I need to get work done. I need to get this podcast done. Then I need to finish the script that is due to my bosses who are expecting a script. A script that, by the way, for a comic book that will be published, as opposed to, people,
Good segue.
who are just fans, and potentially involve superstar names that have been dropped in association with it. It's like, but instead I spent my Tuesday night arguing with Spider-Man aficionados who I think weren't even alive when all that stuff was happening. Go to roguematter.com right now. We've got major stuff happening in the next few months. We've got major announcements, major releases coming. So read what you can now, because there's going to be some major changes taking effect. We've got GENA SHAW coming up later on. We ended up pre-recording that interview. She's from Cobra Kai, Dope Sick. She's got a new movie called Savannah Haunting, and she's a huge UFO buff. And so I've found like someone in my inner circle now.
She got me to reveal my UFO story, but it's off camera, so nobody gets to know about it.
Your UFO story was really good. I don't know. I can't believe you didn't tell me that before. Or if you have, I don't know how.
Who wants to do a UFO story? Everybody looks at you like you're crazy when you. No, I honestly saw there was this guy. He had 3 mouths, and there was a mouse inside his mouth, and he killed a friend of mine. Nobody wants to hear those stories. So
that was aliens.
Yes, I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, so we got GENA SHAW coming up. She's going to talk all about that. It's going to be great. Coming up next, we are going to dive into, we've got Black Adam. We're going to give you our Rogue review, but we're also going to talk James Gunn, the news that James Gunn is now the new DC Kevin Feige, when we return. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. I think I should invite them onto the show, the Spider-Man people. We should have a full-on discussion.
Yeah. I won't Probably be on the show that day. Just because.
Like, oh no, the record button didn't work.
The whole beauty of the internet is I don't actually have to see these fanatics face to face. That's like that's
better though. Everyone folds face to face or Zoom box to Zoom box.
I don't fold face to face. That's a problem. I prefer looking people in their eye when I tell them that they're full of F. So nah. Yeah. I'll be there for solidarity. I'll be there in the corner, like, yeah, get him, Dolce, get him. Oh, good
way though. I just kept saying. All right, we're not gonna wait. I'm not wasting any more of this show.
He brought stats.
Any more of this show.
Battle's over.
We both went yesterday and saw Black Adam, starring The Rock. It opened up to huge numbers again, which I believe. Let me get the exact number, but it was The Rock's
almost 70 million. Almost
right, it was like 67 million. I think that's the Rock's biggest opening weekend. So again,
there's flirtation with the fact that it's still a failure because of this and that and the other thing. I don't know. I don't understand box office logic anymore. I really don't. Because when Jurassic World came out, Jurassic World Dominion, the last one, it did okay numbers, in its opening, and everyone was like, it's a failure. Oh, this is terrible. This is a new time low for the franchise. The franchise should probably take a powder. It's probably time to end and then over the course of the summer, it made $1 billion, even after it was day and date, even after it was released digitally. The movie, it's $1 billion movie. So now it goes right back to what's his name? Colin. What's his name? What's the director's name? Anyway, wow, we're bad at this.
What, for Black Adam?
No, for Jurassic World. He was supposed to direct.
Colin Trevorrow.
Trevorrow. I couldn't think of that. I knew it was a long, multi-syllabic last name. So now it's a feather in his cap now because it's $1 billion movie. But they had basically written his career off, like a month earlier. So like Black Adam comes out and they're like, oh, we're thinking it's gonna be something like $70 million. And then the Rotten Tomatoes scores come out. So Warner Brothers lowers the score. They lower their expectation score to something like 40 to 50, right? Because of the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah.
Then it comes out and it makes 67, which is basically virtually in the margin of error for 70 million. Not 70 million, of course. It's not a percentage, but it's close enough. It's closer to 70 million. If you round up, it's closer to 70 million than it is to 60 million. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, it's The Rock's biggest opening, and it kind of meets the expectations of Warner Brothers, but it's not a great movie. I heard two other people say it's not a great movie, but I'm going to go see it 2 more times. Yeah. Right? So but I was entertained. It's not a great movie, but I was entertained. I enjoyed myself thoroughly. I had a blast watching it. Pierce Brosnan is wonderful. The dynamic, the chemistry between the characters, the superhero characters and the mundane characters, the non-superhero characters are wonderful. But it's not a good movie. I don't understand. Like, well, what would you consider a good movie? Like, of course, it's not Shakespeare. It's not like $1 Million Baby or anything like that. One of these like really deep and heavy, meaningful movies. But I mean, you knew that when you saw it was a guy in a tight black suit with a lightning on his chest. It's called Black Adam. Like, what did you go there expecting it to be?
Right.
I don't understand the modern age anymore. And I'm not ashamed to admit I may be too old to understand this. No,
I mean, from what I read, the box office was huge. The Monday box office was his biggest box office and the best Monday box office. I mean, it's only like 4.5 million. It's expected to dominate again in week 2. And overall, I got to tell you, I enjoyed the heck out of it. I enjoyed it. Again, this to me, we're now entering this age where you really can compare film and TV to comic books. This was a comic book script, and I don't mean that in a derogatory sense, but there are definitely, look, you would read comics, maybe you wouldn't, but the way I would read comics, the way I would go to a store and pick something up is if it had good art, it moved pretty well, it had some ups and had some downs, and I wanted to read the next issue. You got me. You win, right? Like, not in a derogatory sense. Look, there are some comic books I read that I'm like, wow, this took me on an emotional journey. This is one of the greatest. Watchmen always comes to mind in my mind. Dark Knight Returns. The staples of the comic book industry. Kingdom Come was like that. I mean, there's seminal comic books, just like there are seminal movies that are, they are greater than your typical comic book. But I've also read a lot of bad comic books, and I've seen a lot of bad movies, and I've seen a lot of bad TV shows, things that are boring, things that, just didn't make any sense to me, in terms of like the character decisions or the story decisions, or, this wasn't it. This was now, and thanks to special effects, because of how far we've come now, watching like a superhero, watching the Hawkman Black Adam slugfest was like reading a Rob Liefeld or Jim Lee or Todd McFarlane or Eric Larson comic book in the 90s, where it's like there's a bunch of people just fighting each other. This is not, it's not high concept stuff here, but it's really beautiful and it's really entertaining, and I'm enjoying being entertained in an artistic way, in a very similar fashion that I would have looking at beautiful artwork, like looking at that beautiful 2-page, spread splash page where, Spider-Man cuts off Juggernaut's helmet in like X-Force, or, watching that, in Uncanny X-Men or X-Men #1 when, Jim Lee, when Wolverine pops through and Jim, they're fighting, and, it's like, wow, this is just beautiful. And yeah, this isn't real life. It doesn't have to be. It's not trying to be. It's just trying to be something that I can say I did not waste my $20 on. I also enjoyed seeing new DC heroes. I'm not a DC guy per se, but I know the character. Like, I know of the characters. It was cool to see Hawkman. It was cool to see Dr. Fate, Atom Smasher, and
Vortex.
was it Cyclone?
I think
What is her name?
I think it's Cyclone. Yeah, I
I think it
call
was
her
Cyclone.
Vortex. I called her Vortex.
Yeah. I mean, no, like it was cool. I know the characters. I'm not a huge DC fan, but you know,
I was impressed that they managed to pull off Hawkman's helmet without making him look stupid. Because that is an
how cool are these
elaborate
wings
helmet.
though too?
The wings were awesome. They've done wings before.
Yeah.
Wings used to be the hardest thing
Yeah.
that they could do. Now wings are like old hat. Because if
Yeah.
you look at the old, I think if you look at X-Men, like First Class or X-Men 3, or was it X-Men United? What was it? Whatever the third one
Oh,
was. And they had Angel.
Last
They had
Stand.
what's his name?
Last Stand.
Yeah.
Was it
They had
Last Stand, or you're talking about the one with Apocalypse?
No, Last Stand.
Okay, yeah. The Brett Ratner disaster.
You look at yes. You look at the wings in Last Stand. It's the details. I'm just talking about. Stay focused, dude. I'm just talking about the scene. It's a 1 second scene with Angel where his wings come out, you know. And if you look at that compared to what they were doing with Hawkman, like the evolution is out of this world. They also had the chemistry between Hawkman and Dr. Fate.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't have a lot of time to establish that, there was there were a couple of really good emotional beats there that you actually felt it. You actually. And then the only thing, the only complaint I had about the film was that they kind of give away a major plot point in the trailer. About who the actual champion is, and what the situation is. They went through great length in the story to make it very ambiguous. Make certain aspects of 10th Atom pretty ambiguous. And then, but they just reveal it in the trailer, It's like, oh man, Also,
did you get the trailer
where he destroys those 2 jet fighters is not in the movie. I didn't see that in the film.
Cutting room floor.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's those are
the little DVD extra
scenes. That'll be for the
so to Erin's
DVD.
point, she just flashed across the screen. Don't watch trailers; they spoil everything. Did you watch the trailer for Plane? Was that the first of all dumbest name of a movie I've ever seen?
No, I did not.
Oh, they didn't show that? The new Gerard Butler and the guy who played Luke Cage? So, speaking of trailers giving away the movie, like they have this great premise. So the movie Plane, I think it's the dumbest thing, but it's about a plane. Sorry, the title is the dumbest thing. The plane in the trailer has to make an emergency landing.
I thought it was PLAIN. You're saying
no.
It's PLANE. It's plane. Yeah. It's just about a plane. Oh, holy crap!
It's a plane carrying a death row inmate or a wanted inmate of some kind, played by Luke Cage, which I'm sure at some point we'll get the actor's name if I take the 2 seconds. What's it?
Mike Coulter.
That's it, Mike Coulter. Thank you. See, we helped. I did Colin Trevorrow.
He's on. Yeah, well, he's on the show Evil that I watch, which is pretty awesome.
I know Evil's a great show too. And basically. So it's like he's this guy who's killed many people, and he's on this plane, and they're the ones that have to transport him, back or whatever, to wherever he's supposed to go. And Gerard Butler's just a regular pilot, and the plane has to make an emergency landing.
So it's because the plane has fallen. Like, it's Olympus has fallen in the plane.
Right. And so
why didn't they just call it the plane has fallen? That would have been perfect.
No, because that's just the setup for the movie. It's where they end up landing. Is in a military occupied, and not U.S. military, but like guerrilla military occupied Southeast Asian island that basically is, run by warlords and things like that. And so it's up to Gerard Butler to team up with Mike Coulter to save the rest of the passengers. And it's actually pretty cool. And then immediately I'm like, that's a pretty cool concept. And then immediately they go into all these things that I'm like, oh, so that's how the movie's going to end. Oh, yep. All right. They're showing the plane taking off again now. So I guess they get out. Thanks for showing me that trailer, which I'm sure would have happened, but it's like, why are you giving
with
away
a little hope they may crash? They may crash again.
But then it's like plane, comes across the screen, and I'm like, that's the dumbest name for a movie. I'm like,
that is very bad. That is like Snakes on a Plane.
That's when you give up.
Snakes on a Plane is a terrible title, but it was purposefully bad. It was intentionally bad. It was intentionally schlocky. This is just
Yes.
we don't know what else to call it. Call it.
I'm
plain.
telling you, there was some movie executive who was just like, I got it. Plain.
I know.
And
I
it was
know
probably
exactly
like
what to call it.
It was probably like the original screener was like, you know, death in the jungles of East Asia or something, you know, something like
something
profound
like
or something like that has some sort of weight to
the
it,
fight
or
to
you know,
survive.
uneasy alliances, or you know,
Fight for survival. Survival
shades
of the
of
fittest.
gray or something, you know, something where it's like, you know, kind of,
Aaron,
and they're like,
Aaron's going
they're
nuts.
like plain. We're just gonna call it plain. But anyway, yeah, no, trailer gave everything away. All right, getting back to Black Adam for a second. One thing Black Adam didn't give away in the trailer was, you know, twists about his origin, and I thought they did that really nicely without giving away too much. What's that?
I said they gave away his origin
in the trailer.
in the trailer, yeah. Yes, they did.
Yes, I didn't see the trailer.
Ah,
I didn't see the trailer.
In the trailer, he says, "My son gave his life for me."
Yeah, I didn't see that. I see that.
So
Thankfully,
like,
I didn't see the trailer.
Wait a minute. Like when you're watching the movie, you're like, wait a minute. If he's Black Adam and he saves his son, or his son becomes Black Adam, then how could his son? So you know that's
right. No, and that stinks that they gave that away in the trailer, because in the movie, I think they deliver that very well.
That's what I was saying. Remember, I said they were very ambiguous about, you know, like when they were shooting the scenes in 10,000 BC or whatever, the you know, in the earlier times, they were very ambiguous about who the kid's father was. They didn't show his face, you know, and to 2600 BC. Thank you, Aaron. She's awesome. And the, you know, so you're not, and also because it's a kind of a spin-off or a sequel to Shazam, you can imagine that the kid using the Black Adam powers or the 10th Adam powers becomes the Rock when he uses it. But no, that's not the way it was.
Yeah, so, and I thought that was really well done, and I didn't see that trailer that gave it away, luckily.
Oh well, then I'm the one who loses. I lost.
You did. Or if I did see the trailer, which maybe I did, because maybe we probably reviewed it or reacted to it. I don't remember that at all. Thankfully, I remember nothing from the trailer going in, especially not the planes, which they changed to e-bikes.
What do you expect for someone who takes 10 months to watch Ozark? I guess.
I still haven't seen the last 2 episodes. I'm on pins and needles for those last 2 episodes.
You have a TV in your office. You could literally, as we hang up, you could literally just sit in that sofa and watch those last 2 episodes. But
I got a script to write after this. I got a script to write.
Yeah, you could write the script while watching the last 2 episodes. I've done it 1,000 times. But okay. All right.
See, we didn't listen to the sound on the podcast. That was the key. We just there's a lot of flashing images. Flashing images. Last bit about Black Adam, real quick, and then we'd love to see what the audience thinks. Drop some stuff in the comments field. When the movie ends, as all movies have to end now with a post-credit scene.
Must end.
All movies with a post. No, it doesn't matter what you are. It doesn't matter if you're a world building, you know, superhero epic. Like all movies just have post-credit scenes now. This one featured a very iconic DC character, and news then traveled, you know, right after that they're making a new movie for said iconic character. That final scene now piggybacks the major announcement that happened yesterday. I thought it was kind of funny because I remember seeing a news item on last Tuesday, in fact, that says James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy, Peacemaker showrunner, and Suicide Squad, in talks for secret new DC Comics movie at Warner Brothers. That was the headline. Well, as it turns out, James Gunn, along with producer Peter Safran, are now going to run the entire DC film and animated and television division
until
DC.
Zaslav is finished stripping Warner Brothers for parts. Yeah, I guess
maybe.
That's a great announcement.
But now with the post-credit scene in Black Adam and this announcement, I'm actually kind of excited. I'm excited for the future of DC. I'm hoping, because James Gunn, and this is not a nod to the Snyderverse directly, okay? I'm hoping James Gunn is not going to dismantle this Snyderverse, because he's got stake in the sandbox now.
Well, his Suicide Squad took place in the Snyderverse, and so did theoretically, and so did Peacemaker. So he's probably got an invested interest. And so does Black Adam, because it's a sequel
Yeah.
of Shazam, which was also sort of in the Snyderverse. It's acknowledging all the other heroes in the Snyderverse. They're also going to make another Man of Steel, which was originated in the Snyderverse.
Correct.
So I think they're going to back off of the Snyder-esque characteristics of movie making, but they're probably not gonna abandon the house to be built. Theoretically,
this movie was in the way it was shot. I feel like the total antithesis of all of Snyder's movie. I mean, it was very fast paced. It was equally gorgeous. I mean, I give Zack Snyder his credit for cinematography. I think he makes gorgeous looking films. But this one, the pace was just the complete opposite. The level of just, enjoyment that I got out of it was the complete, opposite. And like I said, I mean, look, there's things you can absolutely criticize about the Zack Snyder films. But there are also things that obviously there are fans out there that embraced about them as well too. And but I don't know. There's something about this where I'm sitting there going, all right, I think, crazy as it seems, DC might be in pretty good hands now.
I think it's going to get the benefit of the doubt because there is a genuine widespread love for James Gunn. So, I mean, that gives him an immediate cachet, that gives him immediate goodwill, right? He's already he's got the Guardians of the Galaxy under his belt. He's going to have most likely going to have another success next year with Guardians 3. He's got Peacemaker, and he's got the Suicide Squad reboot, which was, it had a mixed reaction.
It wasn't a bad movie.
To it. No, it wasn't but I mean, they thought they expected that to blow up more than it did, but it did. It was a success.
Yep.
So I think if you're gonna, and then also it's the smartest idea, man. Go for someone with no baggage, with not a lot of baggage. He has baggage technically, but he overcame his baggage, right? He got like part of his genetic makeup is now overcoming a cancellation. Right.
Yep.
So that makes him almost no baggage now. He cancels it out, and he's got a lot of, like I said, a lot of cachet, and he's beloved, and it shows that they're theoretically taking this world building seriously, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to get an insider. They're trying to get an expert. They're taking this branch of their storytelling very seriously. So, I think public relations wise, I think it's a great idea. We'll see what the results are. I don't think that James Gunn is hit or miss. I've liked 90% of his stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you never know. You never know what could happen, So
I agree.
I hope that
what do
they
you guys
don't cancel
think?
The Batman. That's the only thing I'm hoping, because we haven't gotten
No, they're
green
not.
light.
And no, but that's
we
the
haven't
thing.
gotten the green
the
light
Joker
yet. We haven't gotten the green light yet for the Batman 2. They're talking about it.
Matt Reeves has already got the green light to build out his universe.
Yeah,
a little
but
bit.
we don't know if they're going to make. We don't know if we're actually going to get a Batman. I'm pretty sure we are, but we haven't gotten official word on it yet. So
okay, well, we'll see how that goes.
And
what do you guys think?
I was surprised. I actually very much enjoyed the Batman, which is
I
part
did
of our
too.
this discussion. But it's a bit overlong. It is a long movie, but I enjoyed it.
I felt it moved. I thought it moved. It moved fast enough. I thought it was.
It's fine.
Yeah.
That wasn't a compliment sandwich. It wasn't a backhand.
It hit
a bit
the
long,
notes
but
for
I
me.
enjoyed it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it hit
Fair
the notes for me. All right, what did you guys think? Did you enjoy Black Adam? What do you think about the news with James Gunn? Put your comments in the comment field. We will comment right back. Coming up next, gotta tell you what a slam dunk guest we have. You've seen her in Cobra Kai. You've seen her in Dope Sick. She's got a new movie, Savannah Haunting. We've got
if she gets her
Jersey.
way, we'll see her in a spaceship pretty soon. If she gets her way.
So. Jersey born Jenna Shaw coming up next. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. Thrilled to be welcomed by Jenna Shaw. actress extraordinaire. She has, in addition to a number of impressive credits on shows like Cobra Kai, Dope Sick, and AMC's Creepshow, she has a new movie coming out. It is A Savannah Haunting, and I got to tell you, from the trailer and the poster, looks pretty like just terrifying, just absolutely terrifying. So I think if you're a horror fan, I think we'll be pretty. Is that fair to say, Jenna? Are we going to be sufficiently scared?
It warms my heart every time someone says they get freaked out by the trailer. So yeah, I it's a really intense ride, I guess.
Yeah, the movie poster reminded me of like The Ring, and that just terrifies the hell out of me because, like, just having like the little girl and
kids are just scary.
Yeah,
in movies. I mean, in general, maybe they're a little scary, but also like in horror movies, they're
yeah, absolutely terrifying. Talk to us about the new movie. Actually, give us the elevator pitch. Give us your part in this, and then I will gladly talk about your Best Actress awards as well that you won for it as well too. But give us the elevator pitch first.
So Savannah Haunting is about a family that moves cross country. They buy this old home in Savannah to start fresh after the death of their daughter. And immediately upon moving in, the mom starts experiencing some weird things that make her believe she's being haunted by her dead daughter. Ugh. So a bunch of weird, spooky things start happening. And it's scary.
And you are the one being haunted, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'm the mom. I play Rachel Rancourt, and she's the one who's in the house a lot because she's like settling in, and all these weird things start happening, and she's starts to question her sanity. So it's kind of like this slow spiral into crazy town.
Now, how enjoyable is this, as you are a self-proclaimed horror and sci-fi fanatic, to be starring in a really scare your pants off horror movie?
Oh, it's the coolest shit ever. I love it. I was like, when I got the audition, I was like, this is mine. Yeah. This has to be mine, because I've done a couple of horror things before. I still have not been disemboweled or beheaded, which of course is a goal of mine. Only in the movies, but if I could get
good qualifier.
Yeah. Oops, gotta
Yeah, I gotta clarify for the internet audience.
Yeah, no, just in the movies, people.
Yes, okay.
Just in the make-believe world. Yeah, I mean,
we will try hard not to dox your location now. After.
Yeah, let's not do that.
We'll do our best.
No, we're good.
Thanks. But I know I'm sloppy with what I say sometimes, but I really do. I want to get disemboweled, or just have like one of those classic like throat slashing in a movie. Like just I want the blood. I want it.
We had an actress on, her name escapes me at the moment, but she was in a horror movie last year that came out, and we asked her, like, what was it like? She got killed on screen. Like, what was it like watching yourself die on screen? She's like, I haven't watched the movie. She filmed everything, but she didn't want to see the death sequence. She was kind of like, yeah, it's a little weird. She's like, she went to the premiere eventually, and saw it, but she's like, yeah, I didn't, it was weird.
Oh my gosh, I would be having a party. I would have it on like a loop. I mean, I understand my parents were like, do you die? I don't want to, and I'm like, I get that. Like family, they were like, it's a little much, but I would be, it would be I would have probably stills framed all over my house. I'd be like, it finally happened.
Is it the experience of dying, or is it the whole movie rigmarole of actually having prosthetics and squibs and stuff like that? That's what you want. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
I want that experience, and I also want that shock of like when you finally see that happen in a movie, you're just like, ah. If you're like, I mean, because I like it. So, and it's just like, I mean, have I died? I don't think I've died in anything. Have I? I mean, I'm sure I have.
Not on camera.
But like, that's definitely a goal. But
we don't know what happened to your Cobra Kai character. We're not
I
sure.
know. I'm like, why couldn't she just come back and do something? But yeah. So, but here's the thing with the movie. We shot in the house the film is based on.
Oh wow.
So
man.
like a bunch of the things that happen in the film really happen in the house. So we were reenacting them in a way.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And the house is really, really haunted. Oof. And that's not like, oh yeah, we're going to sell tickets. No, the house is really haunted. It's terrifying. It's not normal. It's not right. And shooting in it was really weird. So it was kind of trippy because our director, Mark, was like, listen, some of these things happen, but I don't want to tell you until we shoot them. And then you're going to guess which things happened in real life. And then, you know, I was right on a couple of them, but
did you guys as a, like, A, was there a lot of night shoots? I got to imagine there was. So, and then B did you guys have anything happen that you kind of go, like, what was that? What was that? You know, it was a little weird thing. Any weird stuff happen?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like, we did a bunch of night shoots. Yes. But we also had a lot of daytime stuff, and also we shot, day for night. So it's like they duvetine all the windows and all that just to make it dark in there. But the night shoots were, I mean, it was just dark in there. The lighting is not right. And it was just, you didn't want to be in a room by yourself, or even you wanted to be with like a group of people, because it was so, it really is that frightening. It does not feel like a normal, it just doesn't feel right. You're always unsettled. And then, wait, what was the other question?
Just the night shoots, and if anything weird actually did happen.
The weird stuff. Okay. So, there's this one room that there's like the bedroom, and then there's this bathroom area. And then you take 2 steps down into this closet that's like 10 feet long. I mean, it's this really long, narrow closet, and all the actors were kind of like drawn to this room. So we would all sit in it, and it was this tiny ass little room, and they would keep the wardrobe in there, but we all liked it for some reason. And we would just, like, 5 of us would just squeeze in there, and there were other places to sit, like couches, but we all were really drawn to this. So we had wrapped out the top floor, and they were shooting downstairs, and everything's downstairs now. And I, like usual, like to hang out in that room, go over lines, whatever. And I was leaned up against the door that was closed, because some of us would change in there. I was leaning up against the door, sitting on the step, and and then it was dun, 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 3 knocks, and I feel the door hit me 3 times. And I think it's one of the actors. So I jump up, and I'm like, I'm not naked, hold on. And I get up, and I turn around, and I open the door. No one's there.
Uh-oh.
And I ran down, and I said, who came upstairs? And they said, no one, we're shooting. Just don't walk. And I go, no. Someone came and knocked on the door. And they're like, no one came. And then one other thing was, we had been wrapped out. We were shooting next door at a neighbor's house.
Sure.
And I ran back to go to the bathroom. And I like came upstairs in the room that it was already wrapped out, and there was all the windows facing the front. And I shit you not, there's like a couple of windows facing the front lawn, and on this one window there was a pile of flies. Ugh. And there was no food upstairs.
Sure.
Nothing. There wasn't anything rotting. It was just a pile of flies that just kept going on top of it, and it just didn't make sense. They weren't flying around the room. They were just like a cluster of flies. It was, and I was like, I'm gonna pee in the woods. I was like, I'm done. I was like, I'm out. And then a lot of other people had like similar experiences, but those were mine.
Wow. That leads to my other question. You don't actually have to answer this question, but if you were your character, if that was real, how long would it take? Because usually movies, in order for the movies to draw itself out, the characters are usually a little reluctant to react to things immediately, you know, because we have to have an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of movie. They can't just come in, something weird happens, and they walk right out the door, right? So how long would you take in reality if you were your character, you were living in that house, and you were setting up that house, and weird things started happening? How much longer than your character would it take for you to decide, okay, we need to leave?
Like a day. would be like, no.
Depends how much I sunk into the house, though. To be honest,
I know, but that's
in this
what,
market.
but that's what she's like. What am I? Because all this stuff happens immediately, and I think the film only takes place over a course of like 13 days. It's like, yeah. So, but she's constantly making excuses, like, oh, it's probably squirrels. It's like because you know, she's like, I've already caused some problems for my family. We're already dealing with enough. I gotta just, you know, I just gotta push through this, and everything will be fine. I would be like, call the realtor. I'm done. I'm not doing this.
And you'd be making that phone call from a hotel room, right?
That's the thing. I would
not that closet, that's for sure.
I would grab like my dog, my computer. I'd go to a hotel room and I'd be like, this is our new home until we sell this thing. So yeah, I just, no, I'm not doing that.
No.
It gives me, it gives me hope for humanity, because you watch those movies and sometimes they're like, come on.
I know.
You know how much it's, and I mean, look, that's part of the charm of the film. That doesn't make the film a bad film, because you've got to, you know, that's part of the genre. But sometimes it's like, come on. Honestly.
Oh, I know. It frustrates me too. But she's the one that experiences most of it, and the other family members are like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, if no one else is experiencing anything, then I'm ruining this for everybody. So there's
also
all that pressure.
Also, if you're saying it only takes place over the course of 13 days, and that's not agreed. That's not like I've been here for 5 years and I'm just putting up with it, you know? So that's fine. That works.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Now, in addition to horror, you are a self-proclaimed sci-fi fanatic as well, too. You were complimenting the X-Files action figures on the back, which is excellent.
Well done.
I always appreciate that. You wanted to play Ripley when you were younger, right? You wanted to smash some aliens. I was in my research, my internet research, Google, came across that, and that's kind of awesome. I feel like, you know, having seen your work, I'd be like, yeah, I could totally see her smashing aliens. How close to a reality is this for you? Smashing aliens and being in sci-fi. I mean, you've kind of already crossed that with Creepshow a little bit, right?
Yeah, but I didn't get to do any. I didn't get to smash aliens. I didn't get to do anything crazy fun.
No,
like that. I was like this, you know, like the straight character I was the mom, because that's where I'm at in my career. But the monster that we got to work with, this like the giant monster in that episode of Creepshow, it was huge. It was the size of a car. It was like built like full on with foam. Like we were taking pictures with it. It was so cool. And I think Greg Nicotero took it home and like kept it, and like he still has it outside by his lake or something. I don't know. But I was like, you can't throw this out. I was like, can I put it in my yard? It was, I mean, so that was cool. I mean, I would love to smash aliens. I would love to do something sci-fi, like true, like outer space, because I'm such a nerd when it comes to alien stuff that my friends, like when I start talking about UFOs and aliens, they just kind of drown me out.
We will not to bore the podcasters out there or the people out there. I could talk UFOs for hours and days. Like I love all the that's one of our ongoing conversations we have here, because you know, I would prefer
next to your Oak Island obsession.
Do you watch Oak Island?
I did. I haven't seen anything recently.
You haven't missed anything. Don't worry. They haven't found anything yet.
Okay.
They always come really close to finding something.
Yeah, got to keep the show going. Can't find anything yet.
I think this year they're going to do it, though. I think they're going to do it. I really do. No, but you know, by the end of the day, I'm just exhausted, and rather than get in, there's so much TV out there. I mean, Dope Sick is on my list of things that I want to consume as well too. But I've
seen it; it's wonderful.
Yeah, no, I look. Danny Strong is amazing. I'm a big fan of him. Michael Keaton. I mean, how can you not want to watch it? But I'm like usually exhausted, so I will throw a UFO documentary on.
You are speaking to my heart. Yes.
I got you. That's the Jersey in you. See?
Yeah. Listen, I have seen things in the sky. And witnesses too, and I've taken pictures of things.
Oh my goodness!
Like I'm like that. Like
I love it.
Like some people are, oh, she's a weirdo. Like, like you know what? If you saw the things that I saw with my friend that day, like you would be questioning.
Well, now what did you see? I mean, now I'm just curious about this.
Well, it's a long story. No,
Mm.
my friend and I were outside the Queen Mary. We stayed overnight there to like go ghost hunting.
Dude, that is spooky.
And all we did was like drink a lot of wine and eat popcorn. And we're like, there are no ghosts. But then we went outside, we're leaving, and my friend pointed at the mast, like the ships, and I looked up and I go, what's that? And there were like these weird silver things that were so high up, and there were 3 of them, and they kept changing formation. And I was like,
goodness.
So I started recording it, and you can hear us going, oh, well, maybe they're weather balloons. And I'm like this, aliens, aliens, in my head, because I didn't know where my friend stood on that stuff, because I never talked to her about it.
Sure.
And then we would see it kept going into 3 different formations, and we were like, she's like, this is really weird. So I ran over, grabbed some dude like out of nowhere, and I was like, come over here. And he was working on something electrical, and he's like in overalls, and he was like, what? And I pointed and I said, do you see that? And he had a really thick Russian accent, and it's a detail because it's all on video. Sure. But he said humanoids, and I go, humanoids. And then the 3 of us stood there for an hour watching these things.
Oh my goodness.
Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, more popped up. And there were 8 of them. And then we saw this thing that looked like it shot out of the water. And I swear it went, and even she says it on the video, it does this like a jellyfish.
What?
And then it goes and meets up with the other ones. And then one of them disappears.
See, the best thing is you have witnesses for all this, and you have it on camera. I mean, it's, look, there's some weird stuff we can't explain.
And I'm like, I'm right. I'm right. And then of course, like I call my parents, because they're like, they love sci-fi.
Yeah.
And I was like, you'll never believe what happened. And my mom's like, they're out there. We know this. And
it's a very mom thing to say.
But she kind of nerded out too. When I showed her all the videos, she's like, you got something. So
you got to put it out there, and I'll tell you why, because then you can get on the UFO circuit. I mean, that's a whole machine of people that just comment, and you could be an Ancient Aliens. You should be. Why not?
Honestly, I'm like, who do I take this gold mine of footage to?
You took it to us. Take it to us right now. We'll make things happen. I don't know how we're gonna do that, but
yeah, we know. Yeah, we'll figure it out by next show.
Don't take me on face value. But, well, I will at least enjoy it. I'll at least enjoy it from a
oh my gosh, yeah.
Stand. Speaking of Dope Sick, before you were in 2 episodes. What is that set like? I mean, we mentioned again, there's Emmy winners, there's Oscar winners, there's just, I mean, it's how did you feel walking into a set like that, and what was your experience like?
We shot during lockdown, partial lockdown. It was not your typical experience shooting, so I cannot compare it to anything.
Sure.
We had to stay away from each other at all times, except when we were shooting. We had 2-3 masks, a face shield.
Oh my goodness.
So it wasn't your typical shoot.
Yeah.
It wasn't as much fun because of that. And it was my first when we shot Savannah Haunting, we were also shooting in a bubble as well.
Sure.
But it was a smaller production. Mm-hmm. They kept us separated. So aside from like, we did a Zoom table read, which was one of the coolest things I've ever experienced, because I'm like looking at my little box and I'm like, Michael Keaton, Rosario Dawson, Caitlin Dever. I'm like, wait a second. I was like, my face is neck. I was like, this is crazy. So
did you take a screenshot? I hope you took a screenshot.
I was just about to ask that.
Of course I did. I mean, I was like,
that'll go right up against where you get dismembered and and a still frame of your UFO.
That would finish the photo wall. Yeah. So, I mean, it was, some of the biggest names in the industry, icons, and you're like, oh, I'm part of this. So for that reason alone, it was awesome, because I worked with a lot of people, but it was like so many.
Does that give you like validation? Does that, I remember, Hassan and I are both comic book creators, and I got published by one of the major publishers, and I got to sit next to people I grew up like idolizing in the comic book industry to do a signing for my book. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, this is like my 10-year-old self envisioned this happening, you know, and it happened, you know, 20 years later, but it gave me like, you know, a sense of validation, a sense of like, you know, I did the right thing kind of deal. Did you feel that in any way?
Yeah, I mean, to a degree. I was like, all right.
Hassan loves your answer. Anytime I can ask a question and you just brush it off, he's gonna just love
with a single word answer. I
you
love
just
those.
made his, you know, just like it's funny. You made my day talking about UFOs. You just made his day doing that exact thing. That's what he lives for.
Well, she's already got the support of her family, you know, so she knows she made the right choice.
You always got
career,
the family. I mean,
you
the
know?
family's
So
gonna
then-
be behind you, right?
Oh, any
Not
type
always.
of validation is good. Yeah. I mean, like, especially when it's like, oh, good, you're trusting me to be a part of this giant thing. Yay.
Awesome.
Right.
So we talked about it off camera, but and Hassan, you weren't on yet. But full disclosure, I am a TV movie person. My wife is a book person, so we very rarely get TV shows that we like together and watch together. But we watched all of Cobra Kai season 1. I waited, and I've been waiting to watch season 2 with her because that's just what I do. But I gave up. I gave up and I started watching. So then, as fate would have it, the very last episode I watched was right before your episode. So it worked out great. Last night, plucked it right on, episode 8. I loved your... I don't... all right. Not knowing what comes after. Hassan knows because he watches everything and he's consumed everything. And so he knows the future of Cobra Kai. I'm sitting there going, she's got to come back on the show. Like, she's got to come back in the show. Just for the, you know, for the listening and viewing audience, you meet Johnny at a bar. It's a whole dating episode, and you are like the perfect match for him. But of course, his mind is elsewhere on another character. And I'm just thinking to myself, you got to come back. You have to come back in the season at some point.
Well, that's what I wanted.
It's like, this is perfect. This is Johnny Lawrence. This is I'm telling you, I feel good vibes that it's gonna happen. What was it like on that set? Because I think this is season 2 was way before COVID. So I mean, you got a more traditional, you know, process here, right?
Yeah, no, that was like a normal, regular pre-COVID shoot. That shoot was awesome. It was so much fun. I'm a huge fan of Karate Kid, everything. When I auditioned for a different role, and then I remember they were like, "Can you read for this?" And like in the moment, I'm like, "Okay," and then I'm like, "Oh no, this is so good." And then when I got it, I was thrilled because like William Zabka is one of the coolest like humans and actors. He's like such an actor's actor, and he's just such a chill guy.
Yeah,
like he's so nice. And he's so warm and welcoming. And we had so much fun. I mean, it took like 5 hours, 6 hours to shoot that scene. And, you know, I bump into him and I was like, how hard can I bump into you? And he was like, you know, bump into me. Well, after like 20 takes, he was like, don't bump into me so hard. But he was just so cool about it. And I was like, man, they better bring me back just for something. But spoiler for you.
I read the IMDb list. I was disappointed.
I disappear, and I'm like, but there was something.
You never
like,
know.
why couldn't we just to work with him again? Would have like, I don't care if it would have been like, hey, like, just it was so like, it was definitely one of the best experiences I've ever had on set, working with like one-on-one with an actor.
Well, this has been in one of our most enjoyable interviews. Can you tell folks what you got coming up? And I know we talked about Savannah Haunting. Where can people find that? Where can people find you online?
Okay, well, I have a couple of things coming up, but I can't exactly talk about them yet because I don't have permission. Okay. But once I do, then I can talk about it. But other things, not horror related, but they're still cool. And then Savannah Haunting is going to be in select theaters nationwide starting October 28th, but it's also on digital platforms. Cool. So you can pre-order it now or order it for your Halloween weekend. Get your scare on. get your spooky. And the only social media I ever really check, which is terribly, but I mean, I have an old phone. that I can't update the app to do certain things at this point, so I have to go get a new phone. But once I do, I'll be able to be more active. But
it's not worth it. Trust me, it's not worth it.
But I have to because they're getting rid of the CDMA thing. If you know what I'm talking, yeah, I got an email. It's like your phone is prehistoric.
Yes.
Your phone will self-destruct in the next 30
I was like, you're threatening me. It was a threat. And I was like, calm down, everybody. But I guess I have to do this now. So, but my Instagram is I am Jenna Shaw. But it's Jenna with a G.
Look, I was convinced I was gonna say Gina at some point today because I butcher every guest's name, but I managed to not do it. So that's it. It's a perfect interview. We have had a perfect interview. Go check out Savannah Haunting. Go check out GENA SHAW on social media. I am Jenna Shaw. Jenna, thank you so much. It has been a true pleasure to have you on.
This is awesome. Let's talk aliens later at a later date.
I got you.
We'll do a whole show.
Sure.
I'll interview the two of you. We'll do a whole show.
We'll talk about my face. Oh yeah, no, yeah. So much.
I'd be down for it.
So much. When we come back, more Rogue Wave podcast.
Bye.
Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. I want to thank GENA SHAW again. Look, we have had, I got to tell you, we haven't had a ton of guests this year, but the guests we've had, just super quality. And on that note, Rogue Wave, we've made it our mission. We want to meet with more rogues. We want to talk to more rogues. And next week we actually have Dave the Bearded Menace. He is a podcaster. Friend of the show. He does a really great Star Wars podcast, a video gamer. He's going to be on next week just to kind of talk about there was so much news. The Ant-Man trailer dropped. We'll talk a little bit about that next week. We'll go a little deeper into the James Gunn thing. Henry Cavill announcing he's returning as Superman. Florence Pugh contracted for another Marvel movie. Kang shows up. We will definitely cover this.
Ant-Man.
The Justin Britt Gibson, Damon Lindelof Star Wars movie announced.
I'm not a shill. People will call me a shill, but it doesn't seem like the MCU is on its last legs like people have been talking about for the last 3 or 4 months. We will see how it performs in Phase 5, but I think the stilted performance of Phase 4 has to be attributed. A lot of it has to be attributed to COVID, also. So
yes,
we'll see how without COVID or sans COVID or past COVID or post COVID or whatever you want to call it. We'll see how the next phase fares better, hopefully. And as you say, hopefully we'll have a pretty rip roaring DCEU or whatever they decide to call it to go along with it. Yeah.
Look, it's only good for us in the long run. As fans,
in theory, works in theory.
And coming up and then 2 weeks after that, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. So we got some good stuff coming up on the docket in the next few weeks. We hope you join us. We will see you folks next week. Hi guys, Mike Dolce here from the Rogue Wave podcast. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps us out. Leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes, and tune in every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern for a brand new episode of the Rogue Wave podcast.